Hi there, I'm Amy and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to be playing with the Cozy Kitsch Kit, which recently came out, which was a collaboration with the Sims 4 and a CC creator, my Shuno son. It's so cute, I really love all of the items in it, so I'm excited to get into that. For now though, we are just building the exterior, and since this kit is mostly just furniture items and no real outdoor pieces, it will be later on in the video that we actually take a look at those. I did want to try and do a mid-century modern build with these just because it felt like the right kind of style that would suit the furniture pieces. It's also not really something I've done on the channel before, so it was a lot of fun to have a go at doing this kind of build. It was very simple though. For a while I was a bit unhappy with how basic it looked. It's just basically two rectangles pushed together but slightly offset. But when I was looking at ideas online for other kinds of mid-century modern builds, they all looked largely similar, and I wanted to try and keep it to 1 story tall. So I did go ahead and do that. It does end up being 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. One of the bedrooms I just decorate more for a kid, but there's plenty of space for your Sims and it's got quite a decent back garden. I did also decide to build this in the Oasis Springs world, which is the one from base game. I thought it suited the style really well, and I picked this more grassy lot, which is the dusty turf lot in game, just because I quite liked how lush it looked and it just added a bit more colour to the space. But at this point I've pretty much got the outside kind of vaguely sorted. I will do landscaping quite shortly. I decided to make it a bit more structured landscaping. I just felt like, again, it suited the house style a lot better. And the colour of the house, I've gone for this kind of peachy orange colour, which I think was from Love Struck, but I do end up changing that because I realised that the Life and Death expansion pack actually has quite a few bright colours that are just sort of a plain stucco style, so I do change that a little bit later so it becomes a bit brighter. And then the stone pillar that I've got in the front of the lot is just a base game stone. Because the build just felt really basic as well, I decided to try and make it look a little bit more interesting, and so I added a skylight up here. I have also just added a bit of filler furniture so I roughly knew how to lay everything out, so that will be changing later. While I was doing my research on mid-century modern builds as well, I did find this really great idea where in the front I've used some half walls and used the windows which are from the Jungle Adventure game pack, and so I just lined those up, put the wall to sort of the correct height to be as tall as those windows, and I think it makes a really nice fence. So I did go ahead and add those just as a bit of separation from the road. I did also use this growing together door both on the front of the lot and the back. It does change in the back. I just mostly again put it there as a bit of filler, and I ended up going for one of the new base game sliding doors which actually fill up the complete wall height, which was part of the base game update fairly recently, in the last month or something. So that was really great, and I'm glad that they went back to add those. It's been really useful. I have also actually slowed down the speed build, so if you are noticing that it's a little bit less hectic, that's just due to some feedback that I received, and I think it's a lot better this way. It does mean that I've cut a bit more out of the process, but I think what I did cut out was not necessarily that interesting to watch anyway, so hopefully you agree that it's better a little bit slower now and it doesn't dart around quite as much. So if you prefer it this way, do let me know, or if you have any other constructive feedback, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd definitely appreciate it. I will also apologise for the lighting on this lot. I keep changing it, or I did keep changing it while I was building just because it was so dark, but then it was really coloured when I had kind of the morning light on, so I kept flipping between the two just to try and work out what the colours look like. So it wasn't my favourite lot to build on from a lighting point of view. We have just got to landscaping now, and I've marked out these different flower bed areas that I wanted to fill out. I decided to mostly just use cacti, so I used the Strangerville game pack and then just the base game cacti. I wanted to add a bit of differentiation in, and the ones from Strangerville are mostly the same shape, but they have slightly different colours, so I thought that would be good just to add a bit more variation into the spaces. The big ones in the front of the lot, again, are from Strangerville. We don't have those in the base game. You need to go into debug and live edit objects to be able to access those, which is a bit strange. It's kind of a shame that they didn't make those more readily accessible, since they're really useful and I think they look great. I did also want to include a pool in the back garden, so I used the border from the Riviera Retreat kit, which I thought paired really nicely with this base game flooring that I picked out. And because this is in Oasis Springs, I just thought having a pool would be really nice, since it's meant to be a very hot location, so your Sims can definitely cool off just having a dip in the pool. I was a bit tempted to build this in Del Sol Valley for a while, because I feel like that has a lot of mid-century modern vibes there, and a lot of items in that pack cater towards that type of decor style. However, that world just really bothers me because the lots are so huge, and I didn't really want to have a huge building or anything, so I did pick the much more reasonably sized lot in Oasis Springs. It was also just really fun to do this build because ever since Life and Death, I feel like I've been doing a lot of more Victorian or Romanian inspired builds, and they've definitely been a lot darker and moodier due to the assets that come in those packs and just kind of the vibe in general. And even before that, since it was in the run up to Halloween, I was doing a lot of autumnal and more spooky themed builds. So it was a lot of fun to do something different. I keep meaning to branch out and do a different kind of build. I've just been really loving the Life and Death expansion pack, and I adore all of the items that are in it. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. But this was a breath of fresh air to do something a bit different, and I got to pick out a lot of very pastel colours that I don't normally go for, or I haven't been going for in a lot of my recent builds. So that was loads of fun. And I really love in the back garden where I've added this table, which is from one of the back garden stuff packs. I can't remember which one. I think it's the one called Back Garden Stuff or something very similar that has that water slide. But I ended up pairing that with the chairs, which are from the For Rent pack. They're just plastic chairs that pretty much everyone's probably had at some point in their lives, and they're perfect, and I really love that they added these into the game. And they have some really nice colours, so I picked out this pastel blue swatch, which I think went really well with the accent colours that I've got for this more orangey yellow themed house. The sunbeds that I picked up are actually from the Riviera Retreat kit as well, as is the little floaty that I've put into the pool. So your Sims can definitely relax there on a hot summer's day. I think it looks like a really nice place to hang out. The barbecue space near the back door is also from the Desert Luxe kit. I think that's got some really good items, so I did go ahead and include that. I didn't use it much on the outside either, but I did finally re-download Tool. So that's Twisted Mexie's mod, if you weren't aware. They have both a tool mod, which allows you to manipulate items, as well as a better build buy mod, which lets you access debug items a lot more easily. And for ages, because of various expansion packs coming out and things, I kept forgetting to update and re-download it, but I finally got it, and I did use it in this build just to size up the TV, and I think I altered the size of one or two of the rugs as well in the space. So you'll see that process a bit later on. If you like building, I really do recommend that mod. I think it's so useful. It just lets you fine-tune a bit more with the items. But anyway, we are now decorating the living room, and originally I just popped down all of the items I know I wanted to use, and then because this kit is so new to me, it took me ages to decide on the colour scheme. So I did just kind of fade into the colours I ended up with there, just because I was picking and changing so much, and it was a little bit much to watch, so I did cut most of that out. It is also around here that I discovered this more vibrant wallpaper for the outside, so I went ahead and put that in. And the TV that I ended up using was this one from the Modern Luxe kit. So as I mentioned, I did just size that up. I think it's kind of a shame that it's so small. I think I almost always find myself sizing it up whenever I use that particular TV, which again is why I love having the tool mod, because just sizing it up normally in game makes it way too big. While I was decorating as well, I did discover that you can slot items into the bottom of this faux fireplace, which I thought was really cute. I didn't end up keeping these candles that came in that kit here though, just because they were clipping into the back of it, but I do come back to that a bit later on, and I think I put the candles in from the Lovestruck expansion. I also just wanted to appreciate for a moment how great it is that we've got a kit with a full sofa set. I think it's really helpful when CC creators collaborate with The Sims 4 to create packs, and this is the first one where the collaboration has been the CC creator creates the entire pack, and then The Sims 4 or EA kind of package that up and sell it. Before, I think, like with the Storybook Nursery kit and the Pastel Pop kit, the CC creator kind of pitched an idea and then the Sims made it and packaged it. So this one is a little bit different, and I think it really shows just how great CC creators are at creating packs in The Sims 4. The detail on these items is fantastic, and the fact that they provided a full sofa set really shows that these people play the game and understand what fellow Sims players want in these packs. So I'm really happy with this. I think it's such a fun kit, and I love all of the vibrant colours. It's probably not for everyone, partly because of how vibrant everything is, but I think it's a really good one. And there are some neutral swatches in a lot of the pieces, so it is very versatile for that. But now just decorating the kitchen, I was a bit undecided on whether to use Dream Home Decorator or these Home Chef Hustle counters. In the end, I went for Home Chef Hustle just because it brought in a bit more texture, since the worktop has sort of a mottled effect to it, or I don't know, the word might be terrazzo instead. But I thought that was fun, and I really enjoyed using this egg rug from the High School Years expansion pack. I don't really use that one very often, but I thought the colours worked really well and it was a bit of fun. I also discovered that the Country Kitchen Kit, I think it's called, which was one of the first kits, the fridge and the stove from that paired really well in this kitchen. I just thought it helped make the entire space seem a bit more retro whilst still keeping the modern vibe from the counters. So that was a lot of fun to incorporate. And the tile that I've used as a backsplash, that one's from the Riviera Retreat kit. So if you hadn't noticed already, this is a very kit heavy build. I think it's one of the builds that I've used the most packs in, to be honest, but I think a lot of the different expansion packs, especially the more recent ones, they just work really well. They have all of the right colours and things, so it was a lot of fun to go through and see what could combine well with the Cozy Kitsch Kit. I also did go through and use every single item from the new kit, just because I wanted to try and see how they all work together and see if it's easy to use each of them in a build. And I think it was really easy to do. All of them suit being in a living room so well. I think most of them ended up being in this main living space. The only item that I didn't end up using was just the longest wall hanging lamp, and that's just because we got 3 different wall height lamps, and since I just had short wall height in this particular build, there wasn't really anywhere that was going to work, but I did use the wall hanging lights elsewhere. I also wasn't really that sure about the rug from this kit when I first saw it. It's just not particularly my style, and the colours in it are quite a lot. It almost reminds me of the Maximalist kit, or the Decor to the Max kit. I find the different patterns in there and how bright all of the colours are, I find it kind of difficult to be able to do that sort of style. But this Cozy Kitsch Kit, I think the colours still work really well together. I didn't have too much difficulty with combining them all, even though the rug is quite vibrant and has a lot of colour in it. I think it helped combine and bring together all of the different colours really well. So I actually found that it helped when I was building here. I also discovered that these bookshelves from the High School Years expansion pack, the colour that I picked out, which is this kind of peachy one, it matched perfectly with the colour of the peachy items that I've got throughout, so the bookshelf under the TV and then 2 of the dining chairs. I'm not certain if that was intentional from my Shuno-san. It does make me wonder if my Shuno-san went out of their way to look at the other items that we've got in the game and kind of colour match them in that sense, because the lighting in this room makes it look a little bit of a different colour, but when I put them next to each other they were pretty much exactly the same. So it does make me think that they went out of their way to try and colour match that, which is really great because it makes the kit way more versatile and helps bring in other packs that you might already own. But now I'm just moving into the only bathroom in the space. It does look a little bit squished, but I have playtested this and your Sims can walk around. But in the space I used a lot of Dream Home Decorator, and the shower is actually from the Life and Death expansion. It just felt really modern. And then I used this new shelf from the Cozy Kitsch Kit just to add a bit more clutter into the space. I did also use the same Riviera Retreat tiles that I used in the kitchen. I felt like it just added a bit more continuity to the space, so I thought it would be good to incorporate that into the bathroom as well. And I did end up using quite a lot of the bathroom clutter kit to clutter up the space and make it look a little bit more lived in. I also thought this little whale decal that I popped onto the wall was really cute, and since I ended up decorating one of the bedrooms for a child, it seemed like a nice little addition to have something fun in the bathroom. I feel like the bathroom clutter kit was one of the ones that had a lot of bad press when it first came out, partly just due to how low quality all of the items look, but it's probably one of my most used kits. I just find all of the clutter in it, especially that little candle. It's so useful in my builds, so I really enjoy that one. But now moving on into the master bedroom, and I knew that I wanted to have a go at using this bed, which is from the Get Famous expansion pack. Since, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the items from that pack are very mid-century modern inspired, it seemed like the perfect bed to try out. I did also decide to include carpet into the bedrooms at this stage. I don't usually do that in my builds, but again, it felt like it would be more suitable for this type of build to have carpet, at least in the bedrooms. So I decided to go a bit out of my comfort zone and do that, and I think it still looks really good. I do generally just prefer having wooden floors everywhere in my builds, so I tried to do something a little bit different. I did continue with that very greeny orange colour scheme that I had throughout the living space and incorporated that in here. And then this funky wallpaper is actually from the High School Years expansion, I think, and it brought in a lot of those same colours. I was thinking about using that in the living room when I first started decorating that, but I did decide to incorporate it elsewhere, and I think it looks really good in here. It was at this stage as well that I discovered this really nice nifty knitting desk which had those same kinds of colours in, so I figured maybe the sim likes to knit in their free time as well, so I went ahead and included a few crafty items as well as a little knitting basket next to the armchair in the living room. So that also makes the space a bit more usable for your Sims too, which I thought was nice. It's always good to have lots of activities for them to do to make gameplay a little bit more interesting. I also included this lava lamp from the Strangerville expansion, or game pack, sorry. I thought it would be loads of fun, and I think it's very mid-century modern inspired as well, so it worked well in the space. And then above these little side tables, I have seen someone else do this online, but I just used the middle length of the 3 ceiling lights and sized them down a bit and used those as little side lights next to the bed. I thought that was really effective and looked quite cute. Since I did make this sim have a little bit of a knitting skill as well, I ended up going ahead and adding in a few plushies here and there just as if they'd made those. I end up adding more from the nifty knitting pack as well into the kids' bedroom later on. But speaking of which, we are now in the child's bedroom decorating that. It's a little bit skinnier than the adult's bedroom, and so I went ahead and just included a bunk bed here so I could still fit in a lot of furniture for them to use. And I went ahead and used this little desk from the Growing Together expansion pack. Again, it had a lot of colour in it, so I thought that was fun to use. And then I picked out a few rugs from the High School Years expansion. They've got some really fun swatches, and I thought that looked really cute, and brought in a lot of these pastel colours that I've got throughout the spaces too. I did try to bring in quite a lot of toys for the child as well. I didn't end up managing to fit the little creativity table or the science table in here, but if you did want to add those in, there's probably space outside at least if you wanted to include the science table. But otherwise, I did go ahead and include the little kit that allows the Sims to make friendship bracelets, which came from Growing Together, so I'll add that into or on top of the desk a little bit later. I often find those items really difficult to incorporate into builds, partly because the creativity table looks like a desk. So if you already have a bedroom that has a desk, it seems a little bit odd to have two. I almost wish that you could just have sort of an item that you can pop on top of tables and then that becomes the creativity table. So I do find those difficult to use, but I guess it's a common theme with The Sims 4 where everything has this giant item that you need to be able to carry out the skill that you're trying to use for your Sims. While I was playtesting as well, I did discover that this mirror that I add in from the pastel pop kit next to the door, it does make it so your Sims can't walk into the bedroom at all. So I do end up switching where that is with the little picture from the Book Nook kit on the other side of the door, so it is completely functional when this is uploaded to the gallery. Honestly, I wouldn't have thought that would be an issue for your Sims, but I guess that's a good sign to make sure you always playtest your builds. We are now coming to the end of the speed build portion of this video though, so if you have been enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. You can also download this build using my EA ID on the Sims 4 gallery, which is just AWayfaringFrog, and the details of that are in the description down below. And as always, if there's any particular build you'd like to see me create on the channel, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the screenshots, and I really hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye now.